program chair, and we have a great program for you today. I'd like to introduce Anthony Helm.
Closer to the mic.
He joined the Dartmouth College Library as head of the Digital Media and Library Technologies 2 years ago, following 2 years as director of the Arts and Humanities Resource Center at Dartmouth. He holds a Master of Arts in Japanese Language, Literature, and Culture from the University of Texas at Austin, and a Bachelor of Arts in Television Radio Production from Southern Methodist University. Professionally, he has been active an academic technologist, a Japanese lecturer, an English language instructor, and almost became a Zen Buddhist priest. Prior to landing in New England, he spent a decade of his adult life in Japan. Welcome, Anthony.
Thank you. Just give me a minute while we get set up real quickly. The joy of switching between computers here. Good. Would it help if I move the mic this way?
Yes.
I'm fairly good at broadcasting myself, but if there's a video recording, it might help to put me in front of a mic nonetheless. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to Dartmouth College. Pat, would you mind hitting the lights at the back, the bottom button? Digital Media and Library Technologies, but that's actually, I wear two hats, and the hat I'm here to talk to you about today is I oversee the Jones Media Center here in the Baker-Berry Library. And the official mission of the Jones Media Center is to support the instruction and research needs of Dartmouth's faculty, students, staff, and alumni by providing facilities, collections, and expertise for researching, viewing, and producing a wide range of media. And I don't have that memorized. So jokingly within the center, we like to say that the Jones Media Center is simply where the cool stuff happens. And we take a lot of pride in that, in that we really try to foster and encourage a lot of creativity among our staff, among our students who are working for us, as well as all the patrons who come into our facility. Just kind of an overview of the walk-in support services that we make available. We have 17 editing stations, 18 viewing stations, and of course we also house the significant portion of our media collection, including over 16,000 DVDs, 5,000 VHSs, which we hope are going slowly away, a number of microform, audio tapes, CDs, and CD-ROMs. Unfortunately, Pat Fiskin gets to keep all the fun music collection over in the Paddock Music Library. Every time I want to, get a, a good Broadway video or some, music, I go visit the Paddock. So it's actually, it should be a happy sign, but it's sad because, I have to tell people, oh, you have to go to the Paddock for that. In addition, on our editing stations primarily, we offer a very large suite of software for people to come in and use. You'll see essentially the entire, or a large portion of the Adobe Creative Suite, as well as Apple products such as iMovie, GarageBand, iPhoto, Keynote, as well as the Final Cut Editing Suite, and a number of other kind of standard tools that we make available to anyone coming in to create, or even just to complete class assignments. In addition, we have a number of opportunities available for self-access support for walk-in. The Jones Media Center was one of the first places on campus to subscribe to the lynda.com service. We actually found it to be very compelling in terms of the quality of their videos, and eventually Campus Computing asked us what we thought of the service because they were thinking about rolling it out campus-wide, and that's in fact what they have done now. So we make lynda.com available throughout the campus, but again, not everyone has all of the applications that are present on the lynda.com website So the Jones Media Center remains a place where they can come access the applications as well as the training videos that go with it. Another thing that we're quite proud of is our quick reference series, and this began several years ago, but basically we provide a number of physical, what we call our quick reference guides, and these are brief tutorials kind of with a single focus, because one of the things that, lynda.com is great, and so are books that you can buy on multimedia, but sometimes people just have a simple question: how do I get a movie off of YouTube to use in a presentation for class? And so that's the kind of thing our quick reference guides deal with, is kind of these one-shot how-tos. So not only do we make these available in our lab space in physical form, but they're also available on our website for anyone in the world to download. And we constantly are kind of recreating to keep them up to date and kind of have a fresh visual appearance as well. In addition, we also have naturally professional staff. My staff includes 7 people plus me, and just about everyone on the staff is expected to provide kind of a minimum ability to help with multimedia applications on the floor. We can help people with their scanning, basic iMovie tasks, and a number of other questions related to the software that we try to support. Not everyone is an expert. We don't expect everyone to be. In addition, we hire 6 to 8 technical students every term to provide additional assistance, especially on higher-end multimedia projects. Support for classes really comes from 2 outstanding staff. I mean, all of my staff are great, but 2 people in particular work very closely with classes. Susan Simon is our media learning technologist, and Sarah Tischer-Scully is our media services librarian. And they work very closely with faculty on assignments that either take advantage of our collections and or our facilities to create multimedia assignments for the class. They provide a number of services ranging from the start of the project in terms of consultation and planning. Once they have worked out with the faculty what the assignment is going to be, that gets added to the syllabus along with dates throughout the term that they will provide support through training sessions, which are kind of generalized workshops, as well as check-in sessions throughout the term where the faculty will bring students over to allow them to work on their projects. This has been very successful, and a lot of the faculty have been kind of, it's changed how they think about what is an assignment even, because traditionally it was always, write a paper, write a paper, write a paper, especially in our humanities classes. And now, they've really branched out. We currently have, this term, we've got 14 classes that are doing multimedia projects. And so you can imagine that's 14 training sessions and almost 2 or 3 check-in sessions per term for those classes as well. So we probably see 200 or more students a term just in that process alone. To kind of help out, Sarah and Susan have created a LibGuides page on a number of the multimedia resources that provide additional support to these classes, and that's part of our LibGuide. And this ranges from resources scattered throughout the net as well as resources that they've created. And if you are want to jot down this, or later the presentation will be online, and I strongly advise you to kind of take a look at what's available. Equipment. In order to achieve all this, what do we offer? We offer a wide range of equipment, from video cameras and audio recorders to microphones and some other things I'll show. And we tend to think of our equipment in tiers. We have what we call our over-the-counter tier, and this is kind of your entry-level consumer product. So students can just come in and say, hey, can I get a video camera for the weekend? And so we have these Sony Bloggy cameras, the red one here. They're kind of ruggedized, so they can take a fall. They can even go underwater a little bit as well. And that's just kind of come in, and if it's available, they can check it out. We also have a mid-tier and professional tier cameras available as well. Those we usually ask for kind of a day's notice so we can prep it, make sure batteries are charged, and send it out. One of the major changes in the past year is we've gradually shifted away from tape-based media. So both the Bloggy and the video camera there are both tapeless now. We still have some older tape cameras that we tend to loan out for off-campus programs or things that might be, going somewhere they'll take a beating a little bit more. But we kind of made the decision that clearly tapeless was the way to go. We provide digital still cameras as well. A number of projects sometimes are just kind of documenting an experience in still cameras, as well as audio recorders. Again, kind of an over-the-counter approach to audio recorders, as well as higher-end audio recorders that might be used in projects similar to like a This American Life type experience. For those who are much more ambitious, we have professional level cameras, lighting kits, and higher-end tripods as well. And to support a tapeless environment, you need other kinds of support as well. Hard drives have become the mandatory piece of equipment. And so we actually have a large bank of hard drives that we set aside specifically for classes to use in the course of a term to carry out their media projects. We have a keyboard available, if we've got some talented and ambitious students who want to compose their own music that way. And we have a slew of microphones for pretty much all occasions as well. So the kinds of projects, they've really become much more sophisticated over the years. I think that is a combination of not only the experience we've had in working with faculty, but more and more we're starting to see students coming out of the K-12 program into college already knowing how to work with a lot of media. I mean, not all students, and we always have to be careful about the fallacy of expecting that all the kids are high-tech kids. But anyway, the level of projects has really increased. This is just a sample of one for a writing class, and in the syllabus, this was kind of a description of the expectation for that project. So the digital memoir here, as it mentions, talking about highlighting some aspect of a personal experience, a mini documentary about people and persons, things that are important to you. And so I just want to show a brief example here. This is a couple of minutes, but it's a really well done video.
Hey, yeah, I'm in the library. Okay, bye.
Inside the walls of ivy, hidden behind a tower of books, I question whether I should find me a place where no one looks, a place to scream and shout of my worries and my doubts, to question where I'm from and what I will become, to question my place at this school and the life that I once knew. Me siento perdido, me siento cansado. I feel like somebody without any power. A student with lost roots and a past with scattered loops. Life us. No zoot suit ride's gonna set things right. No Che Guevara will make my future bright. But I walk on the green with my goals in sight. Just a little mad at those who judge me all night. They judge me for the things that they see and they don't. They judge me for my race and my colored skin tone. Judge me for what is only seen on the surface. Because media stereotypes make people nervous. I am proud to say that I am the first generation in my entire family to get a college education. I stay up all day and night to work in Agadir so that I could simply put a smile on the faces of my family. But time, it flies by in the blink of an eye. And before I know it, I'll be going to work wearing a black colored tie. But believe cheap is the way that I'll go. An Ivy League education is the only way that I know. And once I cross the stage, as a 14, my blood will still be pumping, the red, white, and green.
Stop! I'm confused. Look back. All right, keep walking.
I still get choked up every time I watch this. This is a first-year writing program. This is not a film class. This is, and this is just in lieu of a paper that they would have otherwise written. This particular one is certainly a standout. I mean, they're not always that good, but they often can be this good. And so again, just the kind of the level of professionalism in terms of camera style and shooting and everything is amazing. This is anyway one of the standout projects that I wanted to share in full with you. Another sample, again, I won't show all the videos for each of these, but another assignment was a video argument approach, also in a first-year writing course. And I have to say, some of the most inventive assignments actually come out of our writing program, but by no means are all of our projects out of the writing program. But this, again, was to basically compose an argument using multimedia. We actually had another class where the faculty member was quite clever in putting together what she called an image debate, where students working in groups had to prepare a select images to make essentially a flashcard-based argument with nothing but images, and it was done real debate style around a particular theme. I think it was about immigration one year. And the students had to go out, find images to support one side of the debate or the other, and they also had to have, it was almost like playing Pokemon or something like that, they had to have other visual images prepared in their stack to counter any arguments that were made by the opposing side, and it was all visual, no audio. It was also an impressive approach. I think for time I won't be able to get into some of these other projects. Fast forwards.
On our campus, we pride ourselves on the amazing and involved alumni network that we have, and we pride ourselves on our professors, of whom we supposedly have the best.
Again, it's just very impressive in terms of the skills that students are bringing in. We also had an environmental class. This was, I think, eco-psychology course. And they were basically getting students out into a community-based learning project and writing a video on their project as well, or creating a video for the work that they did there. So anyway, just a huge breadth of projects that my staff, working with faculty, kind of helped define in the course of the term. I'll make those available later. So that's kind of what we do in terms of our class outreach, and that's one way that we get to students. Another way that we actually get to students is actually by having them come to us in terms of our student employment. We have a large cadre of students who work at our CERT desk, but we also have about 6 to 8 students per term who serve as our technical support students. And the expectation for them is to be more sophisticated in terms of their ability, but also very much an engaged learner themselves. Because they don't come in, knowing Photoshop and Final Cut and every other tool that's in our tool set, but we expect them to learn by doing, so that they can then help the people who are coming in because they've gone through that experience as well. So one of the things you have to know about the collection in the Jones Media Center is, unlike the majority of our libraries, the Jones Media Center stacks are effectively closed except for our microforms. we don't have the space to kind of run a Blockbuster or old video store style approach. So our DVDs are in Gem-Track systems behind the counter. Students have to kind of know what they want when they come and ask us for a movie. So one of the challenges for the Jones Media Center is how do we reveal our collection more regularly to the students? And we try to come up with all kinds of ways to do this. And one of the things that we do the most regularly is we have our tech students create posters and trailers highlighting our collections. And in the process of doing that, they develop their own skills. So the posters have been some of the most creative, and for the past couple of years we've had a running series where in order to kind of learn Photoshop skills, we ask our students to recreate kind of traditional movie posters with a Jones theme to them. So let me show you some examples here. Breakfast at Tiffany's, I think everyone knows. And you'll notice the little Adobe icons in the corner of the frame there. Bridget Jones' Diaries, Bridget Jones. We have the iMovie guy, the Photoshop guy, you. Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love My Media Project. I Love Jones. And of course, here's Lucy with her bloggy camera down at the bottom. Her headset on in the other corner, and the deadline looming above. Indiana Jones, the Jones Media Center, capture your next great adventure, and again, instead of a whip, he's got a bloggy camera there. Jones Media Center, a la Jurassic Park. This one's not so much a media one, a movie one, but that was one of our more recent ones. Reaching back a little bit, Leon the Professional. Leon kills it without hassle when he goes to Jones Media Center. The reflection on his glasses of the applications. This one, text movie, I guess it projects quite nicely. Very good Woody Allen riff here. And again, the skills that the students develop, we're just always amazed because we give them free rein to choose the posters that they want to mock up. Suddenly we have the Dartmouth t-shirt embedded here in the background. This is also a fan favorite. They've got their audio recorders in place. Next time you're called to do a media project, you don't have to be alone. This is actually one of my favorites. The warping of the text and the attacking, yeah, I find this one to be just great. And again, everything down below has been completely remapped as well. So it's just very, very creative. Facebook movie a few years ago. Vertigo. And then for the music, the iconic West Side Story. So in addition to the posters, that certainly highlights a lot of the resources that are available in Jones, but then to highlight some of the content, we actually have them create trailers as well. So I'll show, so I'll do it on time. Good. So I'll show just a few of the trailers. So what they'll often do is they'll go to our collection, pick a number of movies. They'll actually, we used to have them go out online and get some of the official trailers, but we actually have them create our own trailers these days to highlight our movies, including the call number, so it's easier to find it. But then if they do it contextually around a particular theme, we get some creative work on their part, and so we have them create these bumpers for introducing a particular series of videos. So let me see if I can pull in a few of the bumpers. So here's our Halloween bumper. And then that would lead into series of Halloween-related films. There's another Halloween one. And so most of the time they're learning how to use motion software for video editing, and doing motion graphics, and then tying that into the project. This is a recent Valentine's one. This is by one of our graduating seniors, creating all the pieces and then the motion that comes with it. I think this one, yeah. And so this is an example then of some of the trailers that we put together to try to highlight the collection. Spring films. So again, a lot of creativity. There was a big issue on campus recently, and I was surprised within a week, one of the students had already put together kind of a bumper series to highlight social problem films in our collection as well. So again, it was, quick research to figure out what we've got and try to get it out. In the Jones Media Center, if you take the tour later, you'll see that right at our circ desk, we have a large screen display, and that's where a lot of these videos will run. And then around the center is where we have a lot of the posters. The next step, I would say, in our kind of student outreach is probably a little bit, it's one of the things that's in the Dartmouth College mission is to create lifelong learners. And so we contribute to that along the way through our digital media internship, which is available for graduating seniors. We hire one graduating senior each year to then serve in a full-time, full-paid position for the coming year. And this has been proved very helpful to students who are kind of not quite sure where they want to head to next. They want to get some work experience. Sometimes the interns have come out of our own tech student project, our program, but other times they've come from elsewhere. We've had a student recently who came out of the computer science program, for example. And the opportunity then to come in and they kind of get to see all facets of our media program in operation, and then they kind of take on projects similar to what the tech students do, but then they will do more as well. So, for example, we were approached 2 years ago when the HOP had commissioned a puppet program from a company called Phantom Limb, and the program is called 69 Degrees South, and we were asked to create the website, and so the intern was involved in creating the website there. She had Photoshop experience, but she had no web design experience. So really kind of helping to develop those skills was, like the first week she was hired, we had her assigned to this project. So, but she did a fantastic job. We get them involved in a higher level of video production. One thing that the library does every year, we have an open house at the beginning of the school year, and during the open house, we interview our first year students who the event is geared to, and we edit their responses into a video we create each year called The Voices of Dartmouth. We've been doing this for about 5 or 6 years now, and last year we started for the first time. We had our first students graduate last year, and before they graduated, we tried to find them and see if they would be willing to kind of be interviewed again 4 years later. And so we did a kind of a bookend of the project called Echoes of Dartmouth. And so we got to let them watch the video from when they were freshmen and then ask them some questions about kind of their experience at Dartmouth. And that video production from the Voices piece to the Echoes piece is now being handled by our intern program. Our interns have also done Flash development, different types. This particular intern we had a couple years ago helped us with a kind of renovation revisioning project. One thing that has been unbroken, we've had 9 of these interns so far. Every single intern has had their presentation accepted to present at the New Media Consortium's national conference every year. So 9 years in a row, our interns have been able to kind of turn their experience into a culminating project that they then were able to present at a professional conference. And so that's kind of some of the work that they've been able to do along those lines. Just real quickly, there's some quotes. I think in interest of time, I'll kind of pass through these. But one of our first interns is now at the Harvard Graduate School of Education, where he's an instructional technologist. Others have gone into teaching. Others have gone into computing. And we have another one that's pursuing law at this point. So for the Jones Media Center, we like to enable the students by providing adequate resources for them to be creative. And then we also like to work with faculty and students to encourage them with enough opportunities to be creative. And that's kind of how we live up to what we believe is Jones Media Center, where the cool stuff happens. Now I do have one more video I just want to show with our current intern, that our current intern has created. Thank you very much. Questions?
Just a little bit.
Yes.
I'm interested in your internship program and how you were able to get that integrated into your operational budget, and whether that's an endowment or that's a very unique type of position to have.
Yeah, so the Jones internship does come off of an endowment, but what is nice is that it has proved so successful that we've actually been able to expand our internship programs in, I think we now have 2 other departments as well. Rounder Special Collections now has an internship, as does, our digital production actually has an internship now as well. And so those are coming off of endowments, but again, kind of one led to the others. They just proved to be kind of much more rewarding for the individual, but also for us to be able to have that position for a year long in a full-time capacity. I'm sure all of you know how hard it can be to work around student schedules if you only have them for a couple of hours each week. So, yes. Other questions? Yes.
I'm just wondering about the video editing software. Currently, all of the software is installed on physical computers in your center.
That's correct.
Is there any thought about creating like a virtual PC system or anything like that?
We've talked about it, but currently there are some experience. Actually, we've heard from one of our professional schools, which is doing much more with thin clients and virtual machines. And when you're dealing with video, the performance often suffers. There are, what is nice is there are emerging a couple of cloud-based video editing products that look very promising. And you know, the hardest part or the slowest part is just uploading content and getting it transcoded up on the site. Once it's there though, the video editing tools are quite nice. But for now, we buy enough licenses to cover the machines in our lab space. Yeah, we actually were just talking about this, you know, kind of in that fantasy utopia. It'd be great if, you know, if people could just bring in their own machine and within the confines of the Jones Media Center have software available, but in terms of licensing, they would kind of turn into a pumpkin as they left. Just because the cost would be prohibitive to do, is often prohibitive to do site licensing. And many of you may have heard, you know, Adobe is switching to a new model. This has us really, really concerned for a number of reasons. One reason, of course, is the licensing model may not be advantageous to academic institutions, but it's all going to be cloud-based, paid for by a subscription fee. And the real question is, what happens to the content when the student graduates or is no longer a student? You know, they may be able to bring their work down locally to their computer, but if they don't have access to the software because it's up in the cloud, they won't be able to open their files. So it's a real question about how that's going to work out.
Hopefully there'll be a big backlash.
Hopefully, yeah. That's fingers crossed. Yes. Yes, in the back.
Do media center staff handle copyright compliance issues, or do you cooperate with someone else in the library or campus for that?
So there's a couple things that we do along those lines. First of all, we do education quite a bit as it relates to the media projects. We often discourage posting up to places like YouTube because we don't really have clearance on the student projects. And we do warn faculty and students that, you know, if they have used, you know, commercial music, for example, it could be silenced, and so we try to warn them. We try to do an active education around Creative Commons and open source materials for images, for video, for audio. There's a lot that's available that they can. But then we also talk about, one of the things we're very advocates for is asserting fair use rights. Because, you know, for example, the projects that are, one I didn't show you involves, you know, an essay, a video essay on Fox News. And I think it's very arguable, I mean, it's a very strong argument that everything in that video is a critical judgment and evaluation of it, and therefore would fall into the criticism piece of fair use. And other places, it's certainly transformative. So we do try to educate on those things as well. The other thing is we, as the Jones Media Center ourselves, we adhere to the guidelines that are laid out by our college council, which are publicly available, and we point both faculty and outside people to say this is why we can't do what you're asking us to do. Any other questions? Yes?
You mentioned some 5,000 plus VHS tapes in your collection. What are your plans for those? Do you want to replace them, transfer them, or just remove them?
We are trying, we work with our selectors, and Sarah Scully, who's in my group also. We are trying to gradually replace as many of them as we can with DVDs where possible. So I think we are hoping to maybe get rid of, say, 500 more this year by just buying out into new formats. Yeah. But it's going to be tough on, you know, there's a lot that has never made it to DVD, and then it becomes just an act of preservation. So, any other questions? Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of the day.